Okay, let's talk. You know NotebookLM, right? But what if I told you that its biggest competitor isn't another big tech product, but a powerful, open-source alternative that gives you total control over your data? We're going to dive into why you might seriously want to stop using NotebookLM, and I'll show you something that not only locks down your privacy, but could literally save you hours every single week by pulling everything, I mean everything, from Slack to Notion into one single brain.
All right, before we get into the weeds, if you're all about AI and finding smarter ways to work, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button for @BrandTechAuth down below. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Okay, so back to it. We all love how tools like NotebookLM make research feel like, well, magic. It's amazing. But have you ever stopped to think, when you upload all your private notes, your sensitive research, your company docs, where does that stuff actually live? Who's looking at it? So here's how we're going to break this down. First up, we'll talk about the real problem with NotebookLM, the hidden catch. Then we're going to nerd out just a little bit on the privacy side of things. What's this whole RAG thing about? After that, I'll introduce you to the star of the show, SurfSense. We'll do a proper head-to-head showdown. And to wrap it up, we'll look at where this is all going, which, trust me, is pretty exciting.
Okay, first things first, the NotebookLM problem. Look, I get it. The tool is slick, it's fast, and it's backed by Google. But all that easy convenience, well, it's got a price tag you might not see at first.
So here's the deal, right? It's a classic trade-off. The pros? NotebookLM is beautiful, it's super easy to use, and you've got Google's powerful AI doing the heavy lifting. Can't argue with that. But the cons? Man, they're big ones. You're completely locked into the Google ecosystem, you can only use a handful of data sources, and the big one, your data lives on their servers. Now, yeah, it's technically in your own Google Cloud project, but let's be real, it's not on your machine. Not even close.
And that whole data on their servers thing, it leads us right into the technical heart of the matter. So let's talk about the RAG privacy question. We need to understand how your data is really being handled behind the scenes.
Okay, so both of these tools run on something called RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All it means is that before the AI answers you, it gets to do its homework. It looks up the facts in your documents first. Think of it like an open book test for the AI. That's why its answers are so sharp and on point, instead of just making stuff up from its general knowledge.
So this is basically how it works. The system takes your documents, chops them up into little pieces, and turns each piece into a kind of numerical fingerprint. Then, when you ask a question, it quickly finds the most relevant fingerprints, grabs the original text chunks, and hands them over to the AI along with your question. But here's the absolute most important part of this whole thing. Where all of this happens. That's what decides who's really in control of your private information.
Okay, so if that's the process, where are the weak spots? Where can things go wrong and your data get exposed? Because it's not just one place. It's kind of like a leaky pipe with holes all along it.
Yeah, some really smart folks looked into this and found that your data can leak out at pretty much every single step. You've got the original documents themselves, that's an obvious one. But then, the database of fingerprints could potentially be used to reconstruct your info. The little chunks of text it pulls out to answer a question could be exposed. Heck, the AI's final answer could accidentally reveal something confidential. And get this, even the questions you ask can be a risk because if they contain sensitive details, they're often stored somewhere.
And this is exactly why we need to talk about SurfSense. This is the solution. It's the open-source alternative that was basically designed from day one to solve this exact problem by giving you total, unapologetic control.
So why is SurfSense such a big deal? Let me count the ways. First, and most importantly, it's open source, and you host it yourself. That means your data never, ever leaves your computer. Privacy problem? Gone. Solved. Second, the connections are insane. It hooks into everything. Slack, Notion, GitHub, Discord, YouTube, you name it. Imagine the hours you get back just by not having to manually copy and paste stuff anymore. Third, you're not stuck with one AI. You get to choose from over 150 different models. Want to use Gemini for one thing and Claude for another? Go for it. And finally, this is huge. Its browser extension can grab entire web pages, even if you're logged into a site. For anyone doing research, that is an absolute lifesaver.
All right, theory is great, but let's see them in a real matchup. Time for the head-to-head showdown, NotebookLM versus SurfSense.
This chart really breaks it down. Let's run through it. Data control? With NotebookLM, your data's on Google's cloud. With SurfSense, it's on your own machine. Simple as that. Supported sources? NotebookLM is pretty limited. SurfSense is, well, it's massive. Think Jira, Slack, Discord, the whole 9 yards. Choice of AI. You're stuck with Google's models on NotebookLM. SurfSense gives you over 150 to play with. But here's the catch, the setup. NotebookLM is dead simple, just click and go. SurfSense takes some manual setup, getting your API keys and all that. It really is the ultimate choice, plug-and-play convenience or ultimate power and control.
And you know, this isn't just my opinion. A writer over at XDA Developers put it perfectly. He said that SurfSense isn't even trying to be another simple plug-and-play tool like NotebookLM. Its whole reason for existing is to do things differently, to give you way more control. And that's the key, right? It's not about one being better. It's about what you value more.
But wait, there's more. Because SurfSense isn't just content with being an amazing personal tool. The vision is way bigger than that. And that brings us to the future, which is all about collaboration.
So I was checking out their public roadmap, and this is where it gets really wild. They're building in features that will turn this thing into a full-on collaborative hub. We're talking about real-time editing, just like in Google Docs, where you can see your teammates typing. You'll be able to leave comments, start discussions, and even @mention people to bring them into a specific document. This is a massive shift. It's going from a personal brain to a secure, private, shared brain for your entire team.
So, at the end of the day, that's the question you have to ask yourself. On one side, you've got the polished, super easy convenience of NotebookLM. On the other, you've got the raw power, the privacy, and the total control of SurfSense. So what's it going to be? Are you willing to put in a little bit of setup work to get complete ownership of your data and way more flexibility? Which one is right for you, for your workflow, and honestly, for your own peace of mind? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm really curious to see which way you're leaning.